Today we're going to annotate an article called "Is the American Dream Still Possible?" We are going to pay attention to claim, the author's claim, the evidence he uses to support his claim, and then the author's call to action. While I'm annotating, I'm going to pay attention to how the author is making his case, if he's using some ethos, an ethical argument, if he's using some pathos, an emotional argument, or if he's using logos, a logical argument, to try and argue his stance. This was published in 2014, so it is not that old. And our little note here says, to be middle class in America once meant living well and having financial security. But today, that comfortable and contented lifestyle is harder to achieve and maintain. Parade magazine commissioned Mark Clements Research, Inc. to survey Americans nationwide about their finances and outlook for the future. Contributing editor David Walachinsky, author of recent articles on where your tax dollars go and on pork barrel spending, interprets the results. The traditional American dream is based on the belief that hardworking citizens can better their lives, pay their monthly bills without worry, give their children a start to an even better life, and still save enough to live comfortably after they retire. But many average Americans are struggling, squeezed by rising costs, declining wages, credit card debt, and diminished benefits, with little left over to save for retirement. So here is our claim, that many average Americans are struggling, and that the reason they're struggling is because of rising costs, declining wages, debt, diminished benefits. There's little left over for retirement to save. He uses quite a few rhetorical questions, even in the title, and we have another one here, that kind of organize his essay. Does the dream survive? Do most Americans still believe they can forge better lives for themselves? Parade surveyed more than 2,200 Americans, of whom fully 84% describe themselves as belonging to the middle class, regardless of where they live. Living costs are higher in some regions, or the size of their household. For this report, we focused on U.S. households earning between $30,000 and $99,000 a year. Most of those surveyed describe themselves as married and having a family. More than 64% say they are employed full-time or part-time. Most say they are in reasonably good health and have a satisfying religious or spiritual life. They own a home and at least 2 cars, and they are able to take vacations. By international standards, they live a life of prosperity. So all of this, paragraphs 4 and 5, give us the background on the survey or study that they're going to be using as part of their argument. This is just background. Middle class America. All these people have that in common. They have similar financial backgrounds, similar home lives. Yet behind this prosperity is a growing unease. Half of the employed respondents say that they've experienced either increased health care costs or a cut in health benefits over the last 3 years, and 39% have had cuts in their overtime, raises, or bonuses. Almost 2/3 say they live from paycheck to paycheck, and 47% say that no matter how hard they work, they cannot get ahead. More than 1/3 worry about job loss. We have a lot of statistics. They're hitting us with a whole lot of information here. Survey and study results, and they're using these percentages. We've got some logos going on here to show us that they have decreased benefits, decreased paychecks, decreased security. I'm going to write that down. When I say security, I mean financial security. Richard Oden of Conyers, Georgia, married with 5 children, worked in the beer industry for 23 years. Last year, he developed pneumonia and required surgery. When he was unable to return to work by a given date, he says, his company terminated him at age 54, even though he had a perfect attendance record and no performance problems. So we got some pathos here. They're giving us a very personal story. And this is something you can do in your argument too. You can put a picture on the problem. They're telling us about a man who's worked for a company for 23 years, and when he got sick, they let him go. Okay, I'm going to move on. To help support his family, Oden had to dip into his 401k fund, paying a partial penalty for premature withdrawal. This was very stressful, he says. Everything had gone up, except for wages. Oden has since started his own business, a leadership and personal development consulting firm. His wife, Josette, works as a representative in the healthcare field. I do believe I will recover financially, Oden said, and that I will realize a decent retirement. But the traditional American dream, for most Americans, it's still a dream, a pipe dream. Having drawn on his own retirement fund, Oden knows that saving can be a big problem. In the survey, nearly 83% say that there is not much left to save after they've paid their bills. Statistics from the Commerce Department bear this out. The savings rate for Americans is the lowest it has been in 73 years. As a nation, we are saving less than we have in 73 years. And this is our logos. He tells us where he got it. Self-reliance and sacrifice. Most of those interviewed display qualities common to American success stories: determination, flexibility, pragmaticism, which is another word for being practical, willingness to work hard, and especially self-reliance. Almost 3/4 of the middle-class respondents surveyed said they take responsibility for their own financial destiny and believe that they will succeed or fail based on their own efforts. Still, many are downsizing their dreams. So this is a transition word. The qualities that make up that fuel the American dream: being determined, being self-reliant, those qualities are still there, but still they're having to downsize their dream. Shelley Comer, 43, of Dos Palos, California, is a divorced mother of 3 who also takes care of a friend of her oldest child, Michelle. She is going to debt so that Michelle can go to college. Shelley has worked her whole life as a receptionist, janitor, preschool teacher, and activities director at a hospital. Recently, she became a registered nurse and now works the night shift in obstetrics at another hospital. Her annual income is $70,377. So we've got some pathos here too, because they're going to tell us another story, another heartbreaking story. Michelle, 19, is a freshman at the University of California at Merced. She says she is concerned about the financial burden her education is placing on her family. In order to meet our expected family contribution, my mother had to borrow the entire amount of her share. For her part, Michelle earned 6 small scholarships, 2 of which are renewable for next year, and took out a federal loan. She also works 16 hours a week in the financial aid office at the university. Shelley has a retirement plan through the hospital, but I have nothing saved for me, she says. I'm putting it all into the kids so that they can succeed in school. Our parents did everything for us, and I hope to do the same for my kids. I don't count on anything else, on anyone else, to help us get to where we want to go. It's all up to me and my family, and I trust in God to help us. So this story says self-reliance. The self-reliance is there. The dream is gone, is I think the implication. Who is responsible? Another question. One of the most intriguing results of the Parade survey is that 89% of the middle class believes that businesses have a social responsibility to their employees and to the community. Yet 81% believe that. In fact, here's our word. In fact, American businesses make decisions based on what is best for the shareholders and investors, not what's best for their employees. We've got some ethos here. What would be right is for the businesses to stand behind their employees. And we have this idea that people believe that they should be helping, and yet this is not happening. Randy Omark, 55, and Cherie Morris, 58, of Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, husband and wife, are former flight attendants for TWA. Cherie took a buyout in the late 1990s before American Airlines had bought TWA in 2001. After the acquisition, Randy was put on furlough, as were about 4,000 other former TWA flight attendants, and never rehired. After 26 years with the two airlines, his pension was frozen and then taken over by the government. Now he gets $340 a month in payments. He worked for them for 26 years, and his retirement was frozen and then taken over by the government and reduced. So we've got some pathos. Instead of talking about a large group of people, the author puts a face on it, and that is very effective here. Today, despite having a college education, Randy works for $9 an hour, finding community jobs for mentally challenged adults. Cherie works for a greeting card company for $7.25 an hour. It used to be that if you stayed with your company, you would be rewarded, says Cherie. Now there is no guarantee. As for retirement, Randy says, eventually we will just downsize everything, sell our house, and move into a smaller one. Is the dream changing? Another question. Simon Lovano, 46, and Miguel Gutierrez, 44, run a garage door installation and repair business in Albuquerque, New Mexico. While the business grossed $453,000 last year, they took home just $50,000 net to live on. They have a daughter, Marilyn, age 7, who is deaf in one ear and goes to a private school that costs $3,600 a year. Again, with a personal story. Simon says that financial stress is part of their lives. We have a lot of words that relate to stress. It comes from the maybe, could be, should be nature of our business. When the economy is down, people don't buy a new garage door system. The cost of gas at the pump is a major factor, she adds. When the price of gasoline goes down, business goes up. Have they prepared for retirement? Another question. Simone laughs, then replies, the words retirement and vacation are not in our vocabulary. You know that old Tennessee Ernie Ford song, I owe my soul to the company store? We don't think about retirement. They'll have to take me out of here with my high-top tennies on. The American dream is a bygone thing, she adds. It's not the way life is anymore. I used to believe I was responsible for my own destiny, but it's not that simple. Now it's faith and fortitude. Fortitude means when you are mentally strong. What can you do? And we have this heading here, which is like a big old stoplight that says call to action. They have basically told us this is where our call to action is going to be. In this and every election year, many politicians rev up emotions that keep voters from focusing on the pocketbook and daily life issues that truly matter. You know what really touches your family and life. And this is unique because our writer is speaking directly to us. You know what really touches your family and life. The cost of milk, gas, and prescription drugs. The quality of schools. The hope that the government will step in fully prepared to keep you safe and secure if a disaster hits your neighborhood. And here we go. Don't leave decision-making and priority setting to zealots who have an axe to grind, or to the blindly ambitious people who emerge in every generation. For more than 200 years, our system of government has encouraged power to the people. Be an active citizen. And what he is really getting at here is go out and vote. Talks about election years. It's a coincidence that we are very soon going to have an election, but the author is saying if we want to rescue or revive the American dream, we need to get active. Okay.